Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing great. I wanted to talk about something. I had a conversation with my mom this evening, and I was mentioning going after certain goals in my life, and I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I got to talking about my past relationship. And I definitely don't want this to be like a video where I talk down on my ex or anything. It's difficult not to acknowledge the issues, but at the same time, beating a dead horse, I have moved on emotionally from that situation. I mean, not to say that there aren't still remnants of things, especially given that I still see him on a regular basis, but it's just that as far as, okay, I've talked about this in previous videos, and before I say what I'm going to say, I want to say this. There have been times where I will do a video and I feel like I am dropping gems or something. Like I'm really if there was an award I could win, I'd get it for that video or something. I mean, I think I do a really good job in trying to not only share my pain, but help other people facilitate theirs, hopefully. Hopefully, depending on what we're talking about, whatever. And those videos will get little to no views on them, which all of that is relative because, as I've stated before, I saw a video where actually this video plays a lot. It's a little sound clip where it says, someone says, you only got 100 views on your video. And it's like, yeah, 100 people looked at my content. Like, imagine that in real life, 100 people listening to what you have to say and all that. And putting it in that perspective, definitely, it's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Like, wow, and when it's more than 100, it's like, what? You complete strangers are listening to me and watching my stuff, like, yay, whatever, right? So I don't think I, at current recording, have a single video on YouTube that has 2,000 or more subscribers, or not subscribers, views on it. I have a couple that are maybe close to it. I might have one. If I have any, it's that one video. Let me see. If I have any, it's that one video where I was pregnant at the time. Ooh, that's me. Ignore me. That was that's this little clip I posted. But anyway, I am curious. Do I have a single video that goes over 2,000? Nope. My most viewed video is, if you can see it, is the video where I talk about my experience with berberine. The second one, which for the longest time was the most viewed, is 35 weeks and 6 days pregnant and obese, where I'm showing my pregnancy belly and I'm in my underwear. And then the third one goes way down to 628 views. And that's the one where I was talking about an experience with this couple where the guy was getting really jealous and possessive over his girlfriend, whom I was hanging with, thinking that this gay man was hitting on his girlfriend, when if he was hitting on anybody, I would have been included somewhere in that, because he, you know what I mean? He was like giving us both attention, and he went so far as to put his hands on me. And so I'm like, huh? But he was acting like, yeah, like you don't even exist. It's only my girlfriend kind of, I'm like, okay. And it was one of those moments where I was like made to feel like really ugly mostly based on my obesity, which in a weird way is a comfort, knowing that there's something I can do without going under the knife. Because even, I'm going to say this is going to be the most weird thing I'm going to say, maybe, I don't know, not the most weird, but one of the weird things I'm going to say is that even if you are so-called ugly, we are in a place now where you don't have to be. I mean, you know, as they say, you're not ugly, you're just poor. So it's like, I mean, what I mean by that is anyone truly ugly anymore, if you know what I mean? Because it's just so much that can be done, if that makes any sense, right? It's like long hair. Okay, really quickly, I'm wearing a wig, right? I'm wearing a wig. And I always wanted long hair. And in a sense, I still do. But I feel like modern day wigs make long hair, modern day wigs and extensions make long hair not as important as it once was. Like, not as coveted as it once was, because for one, let's say this was my natural hair, a lot of people would still think it's a wig, okay, even though it is a wig, but you know what I mean? Like, quick story, there's this creator I follow, she's a dark-skinned Black woman, and unfortunately that's relevant because there is a perception that if you are a dark-skinned Black woman in particular, that if you have long hair, unless it's dreaded, it probably isn't yours, right? Versus if you were lighter skinned, people are more willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that it could be your hair, just like being white. There are a lot of white women. I actually love to see white women in wigs and hair extensions because they kill the narrative in their own way that it's just a Black woman thing, when there are women of all groups that wear wigs and extensions and stuff, right? But Black women are the most in your face about it, in my personal opinion. Like, you know, no shame. We're just like, yep, we got wigs and extensions. It's just like everybody wears eyelash extensions. I don't, but I mean every group, that is to say. There was this one girl, she's Hispanic, and I had complimented her on her long eyelashes, and I thought they were hers, to be honest with you. And I was like, your eyelashes are so pretty. And I thought they grew out of her lids. And she's like, oh, girl, these are extensions. I was like, oh. But with Black women, a lot of times, I'm just going to be honest, we wear the thicker kind that are more obvious, that, you know what I mean? But it's just like with wigs, and I'm not like the hair police at all. I'm not doing that. Like, I get annoyed when people, and I'm going to throw Alandria in here for a second. People have come for Alandria from Love Island, also known as Nick from Alandria. No, but Alandria, people have come for her about wearing wigs and, oh, that's not her hair, and so on and so forth. And they're doing it because she's a dark-skinned Black woman. Like, that's literally why they're doing it. Because if it were Kim K, they wouldn't be saying, oh, she's wearing extensions, even though we know Kim K wears extensions. But you're not going to do that. But you're doing it because it's a dark-skinned Black woman. And so, of course, that can't be her hair. Of course it can't. I mean, she's a dark-skinned Black woman. It can't be her hair. Kind of, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, getting back to this creator that I was originally talking about, is that, I'm not gonna lie, I have fallen for that bullshit too, okay? And in this case about this girl, she did a video where she was talking about, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking say her name. I'm so sorry. I love her to death. Her name is Too Much Mouth, okay? I almost want to say her real name is pronounced Shanine, but don't hold me to it. She is Haitian American, very beautiful. Anyway, she did a video where she was talking about doing a shoot, and she was talking about like a wig or hair extensions or something, right? And I would see her come on camera with what, based off of what I'm seeing on other Black women who wear wigs, what I presumed was a wig, which probably was a wig. But do you know this girl? And again, put in Too Much Mouth so you know who I'm talking about. This girl has some of the longest, most gorgeous, thickest hair. It is insane. I'm like, you're hiding all that hair under fucking wigs. Like, if my hair looked like that, I wear wigs because I am insecure about my own hair. That's me being honest. Okay? Now, I did not start wearing wigs until the past 3 years. I never wore wigs until the past 3 years. I prefer the look of longer hair with my fat face, okay? This is my fat face. And when I have hair cascading like this, it makes my fat face look a little bit less fat and longer. And you know what I mean? Less, compact and less wide and stuff with the longer hair. It looks better for me as a morbidly obese, woman. So that's why I like to wear wigs, because my natural hair only goes to about this length, and that's with me like kind of stretching it. I don't get it like flat ironed or anything. I don't get it straightened or anything. And it seems to just get stuck at a length and doesn't really want to go much past that length. You know what I mean? I have some old pictures of me from maybe like 2019, 2020, something like that. And it was crazy because in one sense, like my hair was like stretching really long, but I wish I could pull up those pictures, but they're on the phone that I'm recording on. In one sense, my hair was stretching really long, but it looked like it was a similar length to what it is right now, not right now with the wig, but I mean right now, like my natural, and so that's why in a weird way, a part of me really wants to straighten my hair out and see what my actual length is. But I also don't have super shrinkage. So I think I have some shrinkage, but I don't have that super shrinkage hair. That hair that you look like you're bald and is really down to the middle of your back. I don't have that. I know I don't have that. So I don't know. I'm frustrated with my hair. And one of the things that I want to do in the coming year or two is really start to put energy into it to try to grow my hair out. Like I see some of the natural Black women on YouTube who have grown their natural hair out long, because I'm just tired of my hair being stuck in the same place. I would love to like not wear these and stuff, whatever, and just, rock my natural hair, but my natural hair is not long enough for my liking. And the next thing to do for me is for me to say, get braids in my hair. As far as my comfort zone, it's for me to get braids in my hair, right? But then me getting braids, okay. Some of you may have seen me with my natural hair out, right? And on this side, as it's showing here or whatever, I think it's like kind of like a little, a little or a lot, depending on how you want to look at it, sparse, right? Well, I used to wear braids in my hair from time to time. This was years ago, but I would keep it in my hair for months because I was told you could rock it for months. I think it depends on how it's braided. Like I would often get people that would braid my hair, I guess, too tight, and I didn't realize it because it's not like it was bleeding, but I would have a headache that first day. But yeah, so I would keep it in there for a long time, and then it was also too tight. And by a long time, I mean 3 months. I would rock it for 3 months, and I would wash my hair, by the way, when it had braids in it. I would shampoo with dandruff shampoo, Head and Shoulders. If you want to avoid stink head, and I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, I have noticed some smelly people. And one of the ways in which people will sometimes stink is stink head, okay? Where their hair kind of smells like mildew. Like if you're someone who you like to have that moist hair look and stuff, there is a good chance that you have stink head, okay, as I call it. And I'm not saying that being offensive or to be offensive. It may be offensive, but that's not my intention. It's just, it can make your head stink, okay, with mildew or whatever, right? One of the cures for that is dandruff shampoo. When I would shampoo with regular shampoo with the braids in my hair, it doesn't do this to me with my natural short hair, shortish hair, whatever. But with braids in my hair, I would get stink head if I used regular shampoo and conditioner. But when I moved over to Head and Shoulders, and I'm not doing a commercial for them, I'm telling you what I was using. When I moved over to that, because it's antifungal, it protected my head from being stinky. So my head would smell good, you know, even with me leaving my braids wet, which I'm sure was not great. But I was leaving my braids wet and just like air drying them and stuff. I would use like towels and stuff to try to dry them, but they would still be wet. And I had to like air dry or whatever because I didn't use blow dryers or still don't. Maybe I should. I'm just saying I don't. And so anyway, that got rid of stink head. Okay. What I'm saying though is that, oh yeah, I was talking about the, oh yeah, I was just basically saying this. Even though I want long hair naturally, because of hair extensions, because of wigs, because of how convincing they look, how amazing they look, then to me, the value of having the real thing has plummeted from what it once was, where if you wanted to have a natural look, you had to have grown it out of your head. Now, no, you don't. No, you don't. Just find somebody who knows how to put in a good wig and you're good to go. You know what I mean? But anyway, and same thing for light colored eyes. If you're, and I'm definitely hitting on European beauty standards, but yeah, if you are someone who you always coveted light colored eyes, nowadays with contacts, what's the value in them? That, you know what I mean? It's not as valuable as it once was. I mean, you know, like it's not as big a deal because if I see somebody with green eyes and I'm like, oh, her eyes are pretty, I can go and get green contacts. You know, I'm not going to, but I'm using that as an example, you know, whatever. So yeah, a lot of things that used to be. So when talking about the beauty standard and all that stuff, whatever, I just feel like even though being seen as beautiful is extremely valuable to me, like I really, really covet that and everything, but at the same time, natural beauty doesn't have the same pull over me that it once did because so many people are not natural beauties, you know. And it's just so many ways to what they call looks maxing and stuff, making the most of yourself and everything. It's so many ways to do it that it just doesn't hold the same value. Y'all, I am all over the place. I don't know how I even got to talking about beauty. Just the long and short of it is I was venting about my ex and I got to talking about beauty and I got lost. But my thing is about my ex. Well, not about my ex, but about my previous relationship period. It wasn't what I needed. It wasn't what I wanted. I was willing to settle for it when I didn't have full self-esteem and confidence that I could get better. And now I'm in a space where I understand that if I invest in myself, that I can do better, that I'm not stuck here, that it's not like, you know, a life sentence of being obese and I have to just take what I can get and everything. And when I was in that mindset of taking what I could get, scarcity mindset, whatever, then that was the version of me that wanted to fix things romantically with my ex, you know. And that's not me, again, trying to come for him. It's just saying, like, I realized that it wasn't enough for me. And it did take his rejection to make me see the light. I mean, it wasn't just his rejection. There were other things at play too. But I just kind of realized, I'm like, you know, I'm not getting on Ozempic anytime soon, but let's just say I got on Ozempic. By the end of this year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You know, I follow these women that have dramatically improved their looks. There's this one chick, I'm tempted to say her name. She's always had a pretty face, which a lot of them, that's their story. They've always had a pretty face, but with her, she's definitely always had a pretty face. Like if she was someone who only posted face shots and no body shots, then many a man would be catfished, if you will. You know, she just had this doll-like face, right? And then she lost the weight, and now she's like this height and weight proportionate, curvy, doll face girl. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I know that her stock is through the roof. I'm not sure if she's in a relationship right now, but I know that if she put herself out there, and especially in the right situations, her stock would be through the roof. Now, I don't know where she is, and that's another thing. Depending on where you live, will affect your self-esteem if you're pretty, you know. And what I mean by that is I have seen girls that if they lived here where I live, they would have so much better self-esteem than where they live. But where they live, they're more of a dime a dozen. So nobody's like really checking for them like that. You know, it's like, yeah, they're cute, but it's a cuter girl around the corner, or a girl who fits the beauty standard even better around the corner. And where they are, the beauty standard is like being thin, and they're not thin, right? Whereas where I am, yes, thin is still king and queen here, but there is room for bigger women. You know, now I don't put myself in that category for the most part because of the way my body is shaped. Like I'm shaped like Groot, okay? It's not Groot, Gru, sorry. That dude, I think that's his name, Gru, from the Minions movies or whatever, and Despicable Me. I'm shaped like him. I have a huge upper body, and I got these little skinny legs. You know, and well, not skinny legs, but like in comparison to my upper body. And I carry most of my weight in my middle. Okay. So I call myself an apple shape because of that. Now, when I lose a lot of weight, it becomes more hourglassy. But as we speak, it's like a big wide middle on me, you know? And so like, I'm not that girl. I'm not that, you know, the hot BBW or anything like that. And I also am not the greatest at making the most of looks maxing, making the most of myself, and so on and so forth at this size. Now, when I lose a lot of weight, then I got something to work with. But like right now, I'm just not great at that. There are women that they are wonderful at that. You know, they know how to make the most of themselves as a really big woman and stuff. And I love that for them, but I'm just not that girl, you know. But the long and the short of it, because this was meant to be kind of talking about my like relationship revelation that I was sharing with my mom, and then it led into a beauty conversation. But the beauty part is relevant because for me, I know that that is what's going to open doors for me. Everybody is different. You can have your opinions. You're welcome to them. I'm telling you my experience. I go out of the house. I've been single now for over 2 years. Every once in a while, I will get a look or someone being extra friendly or whatever, but I have yet, since I've been broken up with my ex, to have a man ask me for a proper date. You know what I mean? Like anything really coming for me like that, right? Now, arguably, to some degree, this is my fault outside of looks because I don't, you know, I'm not like super, super social, but I get out of the house is the point. And meanwhile, I know that as a smaller woman, that I knocked something down on the floor. Anyway, as a smaller woman, getting out of the house, I would get hit on way more. Even without makeup on, without my hair done, just, you know, living my life, walking through like, quick story, I was in a Target some months ago, and this woman who was in a bonnet, and I think she had on booty shorts, if I remember correctly. Like, you know, she was dressed what some people might call ratchet, as I recall, but her makeup wasn't done, and she had on a hair bonnet, okay? And anyway, this guy tracks her down to ask her out. Well, ask for her phone number. You know, he wanted her phone number and everything. And I'm going to level with you. She was not a great beauty. I mean, not that she couldn't be a great beauty, but I mean, as she showed up in that moment in the store, it wasn't that she was exceptionally hot. It was that height and weight proportionate woman, you know, young woman, height and weight proportionate young woman, you know, and this guy couldn't resist himself, this young man. And so he's like, you know, hey, can I get your number? Da, 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 whatever. And I felt like she was as surprised as I was that he was hitting on her. But I mean, it's just like, you don't have to try when men think you're attractive namely based off of, you know, them liking your body, you know, and you don't necessarily have to have the perfect body, but that helps, you know. And so I'm just very big on the whole looks matter thing. That's a big belief system, and nobody's going to change that for me. I think that it's more complicated than that. I agree. I think that sometimes the prettiest girl doesn't always win the guy. I get that too. But I just think that in general, when men find you physically attractive, they are more likely to want to get involved with you, talk to you, holler at you, help you, whatever, and that you will have more suitors to choose from, you know, and that you don't have to try you know. But also, like I said, it also depends on where you are, because I have seen women that I think are very pretty, and they tell me that they don't really get hit on very much and stuff. And I'm like, really? Like, really? You? Like, oh, okay. Like, because I'm thinking, like, you're really pretty. Like, what? Like, you know, but meanwhile, I was a 30-something-year-old woman at the time. You know, I'm 10 years older than that now. But I was a 30-something-year-old woman. And I was getting hit on like crazy, you know. And I mean, so, and I wasn't even thin. I was just a much, much smaller, overweight person, you know. I was like on the chunkier side of thick, I guess, you know, in the very early 200s. And I was getting hit on a lot. So anyway, yeah, just a random superficiality video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.